smiles on. Hello, everybody. Hey! And the dogs say hello. Welcome to yet another episode of Witches and Wine. This is the show where we talk about witchy stuff and we drink wine. Clink and drink. Clink and drink. So before we get to our beautiful guest that is on the screen in front of you all, I'd like to do a little disclaimer. Well, first of all, my name is Lola Stardust, if you don't know, and I am your hostess with the mostest. And I'd like to do a little disclaimer. Our show is called Witches and Wine, meaning we drink wine. Some people have reported to us that they find that a little offensive because we get a little tipsy and talkative. So we have this wonderful suggestion for y'all. There's this wonderful thing in the corner of the screen. It's an X, and you can actually click on that, and you don't have to watch us. So, woo, it's like magic. All right, so our dogs are really vocal today. So you two need to stop.
Piper down.
Piper down, puppies. So, Silenus.
Yes.
My husband, my high priest, my partner in crime. Why don't you introduce the wine that we're drinking?
Well, I'd be happy to, honey.
All right.
Very good. So tonight we're going to the King of American wine regions. We're going to the Napa Valley. We're doing a Pina Cabernet out of Yountville. Big Napa flavors.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't, your beginning wine. This is big, chewy, dark, tannic, dry, robust. Everything that we love. 14.7%. A bottle of this is going to run you about $100. So it's definitely not an everyday wine. And if it is, I want to come drink with you.
Yeah.
And, this is the kind of wine that you want to serve with a really nice steak dinner, a really nice filet mignon, something like along those lines. Because very elegant, but very, very, very big.
It's heavy.
Yes.
It's full. It's robust.
Robust, full-bodied, kind of couple like our ladies.
Kind of like the ladies here tonight. We are full and robust.
A little in your face.
Yeah. Never.
So,
all right.
So wonderful wine. Anything from the Pina line, it doesn't matter which of their wines. Excellent. And they pull all the grapes from all the major heavy hitters of the vineyard world in Walla Walla, Rutherford, Yountville, all the neighboring towns.
Yeah. Well, thank you, honey.
You're welcome.
So I'm so excited for this guest that we have. I've been working with her for a very long time. We have developed what I think is a really good working relationship, and we just love each other. So I want to introduce from the ATC my fellow ex-calendar keeper. We'll talk about that. And it is Skyfae LaVeau. Hi, Skyfae.
Hello. Hi, Laura. Hi.
I'm so glad that you are here. And why don't you introduce yourself? We make you do all the titles.
Oh, God.
Titles. I know.
Get out your commas.
Get your commas.
Oh, okay. All the commas. Good evening, everyone. My name is Skyfae LaVeau. I am a second-degree high priestess of the ATC Wise tradition out of the Mother Church in Index, Washington. I am also the festival director this year for Spring Mysteries Festival and Hekate Sickle Festival. I am also the scribe of the Mother Church Coven, as well as the high scribe for ATC International.
Ooh.
I have pared down what I do, so those are my titles right now.
Right now.
Yeah, you've pared down to that.
Yeah. Skyfae is important, and we love her. She does things.
Good things.
Yes. So as I said, I like to tell the story of how I actually very first met Skyfae. It was at my very first festival. It was a Hekate Sickle. And I had just gotten out of the car. And I don't know, this was probably like 6 years ago, 7 years ago. I don't even know. It was a while ago. And we like literally just pulled up in the parking lot. I get out of the car and we're walking to the commons area to go register. And so I'm looking around because I remember that one of the first things I saw was Cassie coming out with a boombox playing Michael Jackson music, and she was she was walking around, and I'm like, oh my god, yes, love that. And then there's this lovely redheaded woman in this amazing coat that had like different pelts, and it was very Norse, very Viking, and I just went up to her, and I have to remember that some people don't like to be petted when they don't know who you are. But I just like went up to her. It was Skyfae. I didn't know who she was, and I just start petting her, going.
That's how she got me.
That's how I got him. I just petted him.
She started petting me. I'm like, oh, well, a little lower next time.
So yeah, so I petted her, and I'm like, I love your coat. And poor Skyfae, who I now found out, years later, was like, she just, people coming up to her that she doesn't know, even sometimes people you do know at that time, she had, her bubble, and
she's a little introvert.
Yes, and so she was like, and no wonder she gave me the most terrified look. And I didn't care because I'm Lola and I just want to spread love and joy and make you fall in love with me. And I was like, I know this is uncomfortable for you, but I'm still going to pet you. So,
man.
I always remembered her from then. And then she started training me when I was a student at the seminary, and they needed someone to take over the calendar keeper position, which was hers. And we started having, Skype conferences, and she was training me. And what I loved about Skyfae, she appealed to my Capricorn brain, because her training and the way she did things is exactly how I do it. And I'm like, yes, someone who is a kind of anal retentive about note taking.
No kind about it.
Okay, a lot of anal retentive, but you know what? We need people like us. We need the organized brain. So I really got to know and love her through that, because we bonded like, yes, you're crazy like me when it comes to crossing all the T's and dotting all the I's, and but it really helped me be able to deal with staff meetings and all the things and all the stuff and I still do it today. My note taking is immaculate. I overdo it, but I'd rather have too much information than not enough. That is what Skyfae taught me. So thank you for letting my anal retentive Capricorn brain come out.
Yes, grow.
So Skyfae, you are the festival director. You have done this for quite some time, and I wanted to talk to you about now in the time of COVID, how everything's online now. And I'd like to talk to you about what is the pros and cons between doing online versus in person, because you've done in person helping out with the festivals. So can you give us a little rundown of that?
So gladly. For Spring Mysteries this year, literally we had 4 weeks of notice before the governor shut down all parks, and we had to take the whole festival online.
Yeah.
That in and of itself was difficult due to timing, due to changing expectations. Cast had been running lines and rehearsing for an on-stage presence. And when you're speaking on stage, projection is a thing. But when you're here, it's a much smaller thing, and the slightest inflection can change how the energy actually makes it from point A to point B.
Yeah.
The whole thing had to change on a dime. And I am so blessed with the fact that the ATC and Wiccan Seminary, we've already been doing a lot of things online.
Yep.
Running a festival online, while yes, it was really stressful to make that change and to change the expectations around it, we had the infrastructure already in place.
Yes.
Had a fantastic volunteer information technology team Dee is our information tech goddess, and I have her, Jordy LaForge, this year.
Yeah.
It's just phenomenal.
Yeah.
So had we not had that in place, had Dee as our IT tech person, I don't think it would have been as smooth.
Yeah.
We did lose out on that person-to-person interaction, because that's festivals are a lot of how people get that interaction, that group magic feel, that socialization time when they're separated by geographical concerns.
Yeah.
On the flip side, because geography is not a barrier for it, we got to have a lot more people involved. Like, we had people from South Korea actively able to participate in a way that they have not been able to participate before. Had whole new tool sets of, I don't know if any of you watching saw AAOP. That was terrifying with the descent of Nana, and they did a fabulous job in taking what was already a really intense ritual live and making it intense in a just new and interesting way that we hadn't even thought of before.
It was terrifying.
Right? It was so awesome.
So good.
So
it
awesome.
was one of my favorites. It was one of my favorites. Yeah.
So hats off to Dee and to the AOP people.
Oh my God. We can drink to our IT techs and goddesses.
So yeah, it was a lot of shifting expectations, because we, for Mysteries cast in particular, we're on site 10 days ahead of when we open for. Yeah. So there is a lot of in-person stuff that we did to express and do. So that can be really a different kind of lesson. It can be a difficult kind of lesson.
Yeah.
So that's a consideration. But hands down, we don't have to worry about buying food, finding food vendors, making sure that all the boxes are packed. We don't have to break our backs loading the truck.
That's like the ongoing joke right now with the online meetings. It's like, oh God, are we forgetting something? Oh, we need to load the truck. No, we don't.
Did we reserve the U-Haul?
Yeah.
No, we don't have to this year. What?
Yeah.
It's weird. Awesome. But I'm really looking forward to the point where, that kind of reality where we don't have to load the truck and we don't have to pack all the things is because we have new Eleusis already bought, paid for, and the pilgrims will be able to come when they come and around to tend the gardens of Demeter. So
yes,
that is my wish.
That's in the works too. And remember to donate, people. Donate to, like Bella says, donate to your local spiritual institutions, because we do need, and we're including ATC and other ones that maybe aren't as prominent as Christian churches and whatnot. There's a lot of us that are smaller churches that we have a vision and we want to give that to our people, and unfortunately it takes money, and it's a lot of it is donations. So always think of that if you want to see Eleusis all the time and not have to worry, because we do go through a lot getting to Flagler. There's always a
hiccups,
a problem, and it's getting to the point where we're like, we got to find another place that we can own as the church. So it's very, very exciting stuff. So I want to talk about when I didn't even really think of it, because I was thinking on, I've helped with the workshops, and even in person, I've helped with other things. We did help with stage managing and stuff like that. So there's a lot of work, but do you think it's easier without the running around and or is it a different kind of stress?
It is a whole different kind of stress. Honestly, I expected to not be as tired, to not be as stressed out running around. but I did not have the in-person ability to interact and to exchange energy and to, go out and draw from the earth just by stepping out of the dormitories.
Mm-hmm.
It is an energy exchange even online, but it's a different layer. It's a less practiced layer.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why we decided to focus on, technomancy and cyber witch and that kind of cycle this year, because we are all at home. So we've got to make it work for us.
Yeah.
So when this airs, I believe it's 2 weeks before.
Yeah, we're gonna have this be a premiere next week, because we had Stacia on just yesterday, and so she's gonna premiere in a couple days. We premiere our stuff every Thursday night on YouTube. Awesome. So not this Thursday, but next Thursday. So it'll be, by the time we're doing this, it'll
be 2 weeks. No, it'll be
3 weeks.
No.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. It'll be 2 weeks.
2 weeks before the sickle start, so you can get registered at
sickle.atcwicca.org.
And I will put the links in our descriptions and all that. So
and it's a very affordable festival, only costing, is it under $40 a person?
Correct. It is literally $37 per person. If you can afford more, you have the option of giving more. If you can't, that is fine.
Yeah.
We wanted to make it more accessible. We did not tier the prices this year. Mm-hmm. We're just across the line, same amount. And we have really cool door prizes.
Yes. We got a lot of really fun stuff planned for this festival. I am so excited. And what I love about the online aspect, just coming from the workshop position, is we can get more people to do workshops. Yeah. Yeah. And we got some big names. We got Diana Paxson, which is so awesome. We've got Jason Mankey. We've got Oberon Zell. We got Don Lewis. We got some great, and then we've got more local people, but they're just have amazing topics, and so that's where I get excited, because I love the idea of getting people that wouldn't maybe be able to show up in person.
Well, yeah. And then there's concerts for Pagan music fans.
Yes, we got music. We've got SJ, of course. We've got Mama Gina, and we've got this amazing performer, Cloud the Pagan rapper, who has become one of our favorite people. We talk to him quite a bit. He is fun, amazing pagan. He is such a great guy, and he is so stoked to be doing. He's going to be doing it live. And we were just listening to his music before we got to.
Oh, very cool. Yeah.
And he's just, I mean, it's real hip hop. It's real authentic hip hop with a pagan message. And you guys are going to be blown away. I just think you're going to be blown away. Yeah.
It's awesome. I'm a fan of nerdcore. So anytime we get to mix genres, I am all over.
Right?
Well, and you kind of touched on what being a nerd and so forth. You were talking about technomancy and digital witch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So what is that entailing for people that don't understand the term?
So techno witch, digital witch, technomancy, these are all terms that relate to using electronic tools to manifest reality. Much like we would write sigils in a spell book, we can arrange that same magic in the way that we organize. It can be as general as a whiteboard where people get to come together and share ideas and build that energy in on itself. Mm-hmm. It can be as complex as somebody coding in color magic into a website.
Yeah.
So
it's magic, because it's all magic, because you're creating something. Even coders and website creators, I think they create magic even on a mundane level in their jobs, because you're creating something that people can access and use and interact with one another.
It's in a form of digital alchemy, because you're bringing different platforms together to create a new environment and message and capabilities that we've never been able to have before.
Yeah.
Right. And it's something near and dear to me, because especially with science fiction and the crossover with paganism is we get a lot more exposure through science fiction of a potential for where humanity can find itself, and how it can evolve to include people, and what, absolute power can do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, I am excited about that. And if you'll notice the colors that I used on the Sickle website, I did that, are all greens and purples.
I've noticed, yeah.
Green is for the heart chakra. It is also for prosperity.
Yep.
Are maybe reduced jobs, reduced hours with COVID, and reduced health issues. Green is heart chakra is also good for the lungs.
Yeah.
Included purple because of the third eye and being able to see what is actually going on and to be able to connect with people. So
there's a magic is very psychological. So you used it in a magic way, but it's a psychological thing that we don't realize is affecting us in a positive way. So I did not know that. Thank you for sharing that, because I think that's really awesome. And that right there is just an example of the magic you can use.
So do you think that's the reason why the Joker's colors are purple and green?
Oh yeah, the Joker's purple and green.
Ooh.
We could go down a rabbit hole with that.
Oh yeah, there's a whole. That's why I love going into comic books and science fiction and fantasy. It's that different reality. It's the addressing the human experience, and I think it's fascinating.
Yeah. And all of us witches, we're nerds. I mean, we come from, because if you think about nowadays, nerdism is more acceptable. It's because it's
celebrated.
It's celebrated. Yeah, it's celebrated. Back in my day, when when I was in high school and junior high in the 80s, you were picked on really bad for being different, and the nerds were different. But little did we know that the nerds took over the universe. I mean, they really did. If it wasn't for those nerds, we wouldn't have the tech that we have now.
Right.
And the amazing movies and books and so our little nerd hearts I'm really excited about this Sickle, because it celebrates that part of us.
Yeah.
Nerdy. And I like science fiction. He's a big science fiction freak. I'm excited about Neil Gaiman's Endless. Can you kind of tell the connection with that? Because that's what really got me excited.
So, all right. No, I was.
No spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So the idea of tapping into the aspect of the endless came to me when Bella made the executive decision that we really needed to revamp or redirect how we were going to do Sickle, because a lot of us, myself included, were really gung-ho that Sickle was going to happen in person and we would be able to stick with the theme that we were having because really passionate about it, but it would not have translated online at all.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm like, okay, so we have all this stuff going on. Reality is just, there's a lot of things sideways with our reality right now. And I was thinking about the different archetypes and their exposure in fandoms. And I was listening to the Endless book that's narrated by Neil Gaiman on Audible. And I was like, oh my God, they're all here.
Yep. All of them.
Oh my God, I wonder if Bella will let us do this.
Yeah.
So how did the proposal go?
Bella.
Yeah.
I messaged Bella and I was like, Bella, I may be inviting chaos because that's kind of what I do. I have a lot of Virgo in my chart, which is why I am also a data dragon.
Yeah, a data dragon. I love that. I love that term.
Yes, this is my official button.
Data dragon. I love that. That's so awesome.
And that was gifted to me by Emerald, who was our Persephone at this last year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we have death, we have despair,
Yep.
of destruction. We have dream. People are retreating, and the thing with the dreams gas mask, man, and COVID just freaking hit me in the gut, and I went, all right, y'all got something to say. And I actually did reach out to Neil Gaiman's publicist, and I was like, hey, hi, can we do this? I didn't hear back from them at all, but after further research, I realized that although The Endless is written by Gaiman, he does not have the copyright to it. It is currently owned by DC.
Oh, yeah.
I kind of went, well, I'm probably never going to hear back about that. And
Yeah.
that's why there's a nifty little disclaimer that we are dealing with endless aspects.
Yes.
Aspects, because they're universal. They're in every religion. They're in every story. So we are inspired by Neil Gaiman's work. We are not replicating Neil Gaiman's work.
There you go. There's that disclaimer. Clink and drink to legal disclaimers. To cover
Awesome.
CYA.
CYA, and my God, I'm sorry, Neil is freaking awesome.
Oh my God, Neil Gaiman. I mean, I was so that was what got me. I've been a Neil Gaiman fan since the very beginning. He's just, he doesn't come out as pagan, but he's pagan adjacent. I mean,
pagan friendly.
He's pagan friendly.
Yeah, definitely.
He writes about pagan concepts, but then if you think about Star Wars, okay, hello,
the Force.
The Force. Yes.
As above, so below, light, dark.
Yes, it's the whole balance. It's so pagan, and I think that doing what we're doing with the sickle this year is I love the idea of bringing in things that are pop culture and reminding people, like, how are you going to mix that in? Well, it blends in perfectly. We don't need to fine tune anything. It's already pagan. So can you tell me, I had Bella on last week, and she talked about the connection with all this with Hekate. I'd like to hear your theory on the connection with all of this with the many faces of Hekate.
So Hekate, her festival, Hekate Sickle Festival, is essentially an expression and an opportunity for Hekate's children to gather to learn her mysteries. And eternal aspects, the endless, the take of science fiction, fantasy blending are all her mysteries. If we look at Star Wars, we have the light and the dark. All of her tools. We have for Sickle, over the years, each of the clan houses has been given a different name. I have given them permanent names. The key is going to be in the north for air, which our tradition has air in the north.
Yes.
And the sickle, which is typically for harvesting grain and herbs, is going to be in the east.
For earth.
Her torch is going to be in the south.
Yep.
And her mirror is going to be in the west.
Of course. Yes.
And so with that in mind is the fandoms that are in this festival is we are actually going to randomly assign people to houses like a giant sorting hat. And there's going to
no up above.
Jedi Council is going to be for the air in the north.
Yeah.
The Star Trek Federation is going to be in Earth because
so awesome.
Firefly brown coats are going to be in the south for fire, and the Stargate Atlantis is going to be in the west for water.
He loves Stargate.
I am a huge Stargate nerd.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
The idea of the Stargates and how we get Thor and that spoilers, and please just go watch it. It is a perfectly plausible reason for how all the gods are here.
Yes.
Just saying.
I love your nerdiness.
Yeah.
I love it. Oh my God, Skyfae. It just makes our nerd hearts just kind of have orgasms.
It's a nerdgasm.
It's a nerdgasm.
There is a term.
It's a nerdgasm. I noticed on the website you had the volunteer staff,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm on there, my pretty little mug, and you had me as was that you that put us who we are?
Yes.
I'm right.
So there's a story about that.
Okay, I want to hear this.
Well, it makes sense being Bella's assistant.
Well, yeah, but I want to hear this.
In number 2.
So originally what it was going to be was we had a very small staff group because we're online. We don't have people that we need to run around and do all these other things. So we're able to run the festival with a lot less people.
Mm-hmm.
So that has made our meetings hyper effective. And also a TNG nerd, I was kind of throwing out, well, you know, Dusty is Deanna Troy and blah, 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 and just kind of what they reminded me of in person. And then it got to be kind of titles. And so because this is Bella's ship, she's Picard. And I was Riker because I was second in command. And Dusty because he was doing theater directing. I actually made him Dr. Crusher because Crusher, if you know TNG, is always about theater and expressing and getting people to, you know, emote, basically. Mary Malinsky, who is the Archpriestess of Canada, she is actually, quote unquote, the assistant festival director, because I knew I would need someone to keep me in check and to make sure I took care of myself in this time frame, because life being what it is, COVID, etc., we needed to make sure that I had someone that I would, you know, not only listen to, but not bite their heads off if they were trying to reel me back. Hey, Mary, can you make sure I don't overdo things? Assistant Ferd. And so she was Guinan.
Yeah.
Because, you know, Guinan. And so I was looking at it and I was going, you know what? Me as Riker just does not really work. Me as Data.
Yes. Yes.
And I was thinking, I was going, you know who's Riker? Lola is Riker. Lola is Riker. Oh my God. And so that is why you have been titled Riker, even though, you know, hierarchy, whatever. But Lola, she's Riker. Vivacious and out there, and fuck all, you know, I'm going to say what I'm going to say, and this is what's going to happen.
And I am Bella's personal assistant, so I sometimes feel like I'm kind of that one that kind of behind her says, maybe that's not a good idea.
Right. Which is a job that I did for a really long time.
Yes.
I've managed to like not be in the know so much that there are things going on that I don't know anymore, which is like,
isn't that nice?
It's different.
Yeah. we call it peeking behind the curtain, because
it is very Wizard of Oz.
It's very Wizard of Oz-ish because, you know, the ATC and all the festivals and the school and everything.
There's a lot of sausage making.
You don't want to see sometimes how the sausage is made. And, right. But we have that, I don't know if you want to call it it's.
What it does is it gives you a different insight on how things have to go to get stuff done on such a grand scale.
Yes.
Where, you know, you don't realize of how the minutia that has to be handled that you don't think about until you've experienced it. And
yeah.
it's something that over time and experiences, you get to learn, and we're seeing that.
And it's great training, and that's why I do it, because I'm always going to be able to use that kind of training in my coven and the community things that we want to do, that we are trying. Yeah. So it's great training, but sometimes it kind of
takes the luster off of it.
It takes the luster off of it.
Yep. There's a whole different set of lessons to being able to be an observer to the mysteries and someone who is orchestrating somebody else's experience of the mysteries.
Yeah.
And whatever those mysteries are, however that path is walked, I think is something that's really common amongst clergy, and that's kind of why the Mother Church is seen as the experiential leadership coven. Is you go there to learn how to lead. Mm-hmm. And for folks that are not necessarily wanting to lead, which is totally fine.
Yeah.
Occasionally, like, I don't know, every other day, I'm like, what the hell am I doing here?
Oh, yeah.
It's not in chief.
Well, and I remember, and it's so true when it says the goddess is going to tap you on the shoulder, and mm-hmm. she's going to say, you need to spread the word. You need to lead. Because when I first got into a coven, I had no desire to run a coven. I thought I was going to be in that coven and just be like, yay, and not have to do anything, not, just show up and worship together and eat great food and drink wine. And I was like, this is cool.
Right.
And something happened. I can be honest about it. I saw things. I come from a coven that there's controversy surrounding my coven that I came from, but I learned what works and what doesn't work. Mm-hmm. And that is just as important.
Oh, yeah.
And so when I started saying in my head, I don't think I would do it this way, I realized, well, then how would you do it, Lola? Right. And I heard the goddess telling me, how would you do it? I think then you need to do it. And I'm thinking, well, no, stop it, goddess, stop it. Yeah. And she kept saying, she's like, you can do this. Yeah. And she was like, you can work in all the talents that you have that you haven't been utilizing lately. You can do that. I like to write. I come from a theater background. So all of that, writing ritual and performance. And then, of course, being a person that doesn't mind wearing the target, the target of the pictures. I don't mind doing it. I'll take that for you because I am out in the front. I've always have been, and I can handle it. So
it's a great story.
Oh, I love story. I like Skyfae stories.
So I had kind of forgotten about this until I think it was Dusty brought this up, like within the last year. And I'm happy to get into the history of how I came across them, but in this instance, it was fairly early on, and me hanging out with the Mother Church and Index and everyone there, and we were having a river walk, and it's a rural area, it's up in the mountains, and we hear rifle shots, and so and they didn't really know me that well at the time, charge out in front of everybody else to get to where I hear the rifle shots going off. And I decide to fluff myself out as big as possible in my cat dragon glory and yell that there are people here.
Yeah.
Those that were just, they may have been hunting, they may have been,
target practice or whatever.
But letting them know that there were human beings in this direction and to, maybe have some respect. And Dusty's like, and I swear to God, we turned around and they were freaking gone. Like, she just charged out there and screw bullets, I'm bulletproof. And I'm like, I don't really remember this. Was I naked at the time? He goes, you put on clothes by that point. So,
So you get it. You're like, I don't mind being the target.
Like yeah.
Yeah.
I will be the shield maiden.
how did you come to the ATC? How did your path lead you to this chaos and craziness that we call the ATC and the beauty of it?
So, oddly enough, way back in the day, not way that far, I'm only 40, but I was doing tarot readings at a shop called the Magical Garden, which is run by a lady named Angela. There was this other chick who was doing tarot readings there too, named Cassie.
Oh.
And so, Cassie and I are talking about, our paths, what we're up to. I was an elder in a coven, working on starting my coven. I was working on building that legacy. And she's like, well, hey, we've got this thing called, the Wiccan Seminary that's kind of specifically for that. And, we hang out up in Index and you should check out the website. So I checked out the website, and this many years ago, back when it was the Aquarian Tabernacle Church.org, really spelled out and hard to pronounce and spell.
Yeah.
The website, and I went, no, thank you.
Oh.
And so I was talking to Cassie, a couple months later, and I said, okay, I know you're really excited about this, and I appreciate your viewpoint. If I were to take this based on what I saw online, I would run screaming the other direction.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, yeah, I get it. You guys, the website back then was terrible. It just was.
Yeah.
And I come from a tech background, and I am frankly spoiled on my exposure to technology and websites, etc. So that is my perspective, my privilege speaking.
Yeah.
And so she's like, okay, but essentially I kind of started going up there and hanging out for about a year before I enrolled in the school, because I had been burned by Wiccan groups and Pagan groups before in my 20s, and I did not enjoy it. So I was very reluctant to participate in anything that branded itself Wicca.
Mm-hmm.
But after about a year of observation, I was like, okay, these people are pretty nifty.
Yeah.
I'll go to the school. It's not, that nobody's forcing me to join a cult or, this way is the only way to do it.
Yeah. Thank God.
At school, which was super awesome.
Yeah.
We retained our traditions. We all retained our knowledge, but we decided to agree to speak a common language, which is, I feel, the point of a seminary, is to get that common language.
Yeah.
The first year I was a freshman, I may have gotten in trouble about 4 to 5 different times where I had to have meetings with deans. I am that personality that sees a problem and my Aries will just go, yes, we are going to fix it. Oh, there's hierarchy. Ah, shit. What the fuck hierarchy is going on here? I don't know what the rules are. Meanwhile, Bella's in the background going, stop messing with Skyfae. She's actually doing things. I know she's not doing them right. Just redirect her. Redirect her. And so that is how I became the calendar person. In Wicca Press, transcribing one of Stuart Farrar's books, running the store Wiccan Cauldron for a while, and a bunch of other things that I there's too much. And so I have a mind for details, and that's
needed.
Thing, and that can be an uncomfortable thing. And it's taken me until I'm also an instructor at the school.
I was going to say, you teach too.
I do.
Did you forget that hat?
Well, I did forget that hat because our quarter doesn't start until next week. I teach Wiccan history, Wicca 110, and that runs 2 times a year. And so I had the summer without it running, and so now I have it running again. So that's going to start next week. So I'm really excited for new freshmen.
How exciting. Oh my God, that's so awesome. And I think you're very detail oriented, and you know, witchcraft isn't just about being flimsy whimsy. Yes, we have those. We need every person's strengths that they bring, because that is where the magic is. And we've proved it over and over. If you are detail oriented and organized, we need those people, because you do have the ones out front. I am detail oriented, but I also am, you know, this probably won't surprise you. I'm a sun sign Capricorn. My moon is in Pisces, so that's where all the tears and emotion come from. And get this, my rising is Leo. Hello.
Oh God, another cat lady. Oh God.
What is yours? Do you know yours?
Oh yeah.
What's yours?
So I refer to myself as a crazy cat lady, just on a side tangent, because everyone I know who's close to me is a Leo. I live with 3.
Yes.
My high priestess is a Leo. Anyway, so my sun sign is Aries.
Yep. Of course.
My rising sign is Taurus.
Yes.
My moon sign is Libra.
So that's where you want the balance. You want.
We'll see every option and not be able to make a goddamn decision to save my fucking life.
Yes.
Yes. Not emotionally.
But change.
And that's your rising is Taurus. That does not surprise me, because you do come. Well, the fact that Taurus is your rising and Aries is your sun. I mean, that just makes so much sense.
You want to fight and you're not gonna move.
And you're not gonna move. You're gonna. Yeah.
You can come to me and we'll fight, but I'm not moving.
No.
And I have, and my elder planets are all Virgo.
Of course. That makes so much sense. I want to, before we wrap up, because we're coming up to almost an hour, we didn't talk about this on beforehand, what I said we would talk about, but I think this is important. You are doing a white accountability. Can you talk about that? Because I have not attended yet. It's not that I don't want to. It's just, you know, life busy. But I will. I am always keeping track of it. Can you tell us what that is? And is this something that you started, right? Can you tell us about this?
So the White Accountability Group is essentially witches against white supremacy. With the violent murder of George Floyd and the rise of the BLM movement again, it made me take a hard look at some of the things that I thought and felt in my past. And my workplace is also doing diversity training, really in-depth diversity training that goes throughout a year. And it actually has a 2-year plan. And so I was like, okay, well, I got this, this information from work of, what it is that, how racism is actually affecting people systematically and institutionally. And I was like, you know what? I have been quiet on this for too long. I used to be a all lives matter person. I used to be that person.
Hey, that's okay, because I was too.
Yeah.
I was too up until just recently, and it was just me opening my mind and saying, because
you evolve and you learn.
You evolve and you learn. And I just learned it recently that saying white lives matters may not be,
or all lives matter,
or all lives, not white lives, all lives matters may not be the best thing to say at this particular time, because obviously we know all lives matter.
Right.
We're not.
But all lives can't matter unless Black lives matter.
Unless minority
lives matter.
Minority lives need to matter. So
I I've been doing a lot of self-education on how racism began over in Europe and in other areas, what it was used for, how it was a way to control people, how to enable more people to have more. Is the idea that people needed to have less, and we needed to create a group of people that we could conveniently identify to have less. And so white accountability is primarily white people doing the work to learn how they have been racist, either consciously or unconsciously. How systemic racism affects various programs in our government and in our social systems, poverty, hunger, medical access, police brutality being a very hot topic. And so it is me kind of holding space for those conversations to happen. I did consult with several BIPOC members of the community, including some members of the Karelian tradition, who have more Black members than Wicca does, because primarily is a white religion.
Yeah, it is.
It blew me away that I found out that there are Black people who are nervous about worshiping, the Norse gods, because they have been run out of those spaces. And I find that unacceptable. And I no longer wish to live in that reality. So I am doing what I can to create a better reality.
Well,
but
thank you.
I can't dodge like I used to.
Yeah.
Space for those difficult conversations.
Well, and we appreciate that so much. It's so important that we need to create dialogue and conversation and have these open discussions, because we all have a little bit of racism in us when we come from, when we don't know. See, and I'm half Mexican, but I don't look half Mexican. So I've been able to kind of avoid that kind of racism. But I've also, when I've been at jobs where I've sat in the break rooms and someone will bring up their disdain for Mexicans.
Yeah, and they won't notice that you're talking
right in front of me because I look more white.
Yeah.
And they'll sit there, and it just, my mother's Mexican, and she's the most my mother, I love her so much. She's the most kindest, beautiful Mexican woman I've ever known in my life. And to hear them talk about Mexicans that way, it just got to me, and I'm like, oh my God. And so then what I would do, because, it was fun, I would say, I would let them, talk. I would let them talk, dig their hole. And then at the end of the conversation, I'd go, well, that's interesting, because my mother's Mexican, and she never hit us, and she never abused us, and we always had food on our plates, and they'd go, oh, and then you would just see them go, I didn't mean you.
Then who did you mean?
Then who did you mean? Because
right.
Yeah, so I have been.
It's caricatures that they're looking at, not the individual person.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And thanks to redlining, there's not a population of white people that I can think of in my experience, even in Washington State, where we're predominantly more liberal.
Yeah.
That we have not grown up segregated without consent or knowledge of how that would impact us.
But you also come from a more liberal side of the mountains. I mean, we're here in Spokane.
Oh, yeah.
And
the Seattle side of Washington's very liberal. The other side is not.
It's not, and it's very conservative. This is this is the city that I was born and raised in. I love it because it's my hometown and I have my friends and family, but it's very, and you know what, there's nothing wrong with conservative. Conservative doesn't mean racist.
Yeah.
I want to make, so let me set that aside. It is conservative in things that don't line up with my beliefs, but I'm okay with that. but we have a lot of racism in this town.
And I have a different perspective because I grew up in Seattle and lived in Portland for a while, then moved to Spokane. So I come from a very liberal background, and now I've seen how much more conservative it is. And I hear the commentary, and I'm just like, I have lots of comments, and to say, that's not how it is there, guys. And
Yeah.
you know, turn off your TV station that is not telling you real information.
Yeah. But we appreciate that you do that, and yes. I think, and you have been so, open and honest
transparent about
very transparent about your background, and it made me feel better because I was that person too. I didn't understand why All Lives Matter was such a terrible thing,
right?
And then I was able to have a conversation with people that were willing to have the conversation and say, this is why, and I went,
illuminating.
Oh, okay.
Right.
It can be very illuminating.
Yeah.
The exclusion factor in saying that, because evidence shows if all lives mattered, we wouldn't have
what's going on.
We wouldn't have people just killed for what they look like.
Exactly, and wouldn't have people judged or put into a
box
of, well,
it's a concentration camp.
Yes, and it's very upsetting, but I really appreciate you doing that, and I really appreciate your honesty with it, because you did make some posts on Facebook where you called yourself out, and on and that, to me,
but that is working your craft, because there's accountability.
That's shadow work.
There's your shadow work. You can't evolve until you look at the parts that aren't nice and fluffy.
Yeah.
Right.
If we have sharp and rough edges that we all need to have rounded and smooth.
Yeah.
And we need to work on those parts. Every person has them. We all know what they are. It's that voice in your back of your head when you know there's something you're doing or you're thinking that you don't like, and you know why you don't like it, but you're not willing to make that step. You've made that step, and that's a huge accomplishment.
I love it. And that's Hekate hitting you with the 2x4 in the back of the head.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's more 4x4.
I started off working with the Morrigans, so
yeah. So
I'm kind of used to the dark goddesses cluing me in with clue by forests.
Yeah, well, that's me too. I mostly work with dark goddesses. There's not really any light goddesses, but all goddesses have light and dark too, because I was just telling someone the other day, working with Aphrodite has been harder than working with some of the dark goddesses that I've worked with.
For me, I love working with Aphrodite.
Of course you do.
Right? It's true. Aphrodite has been
I'm sorry, go ahead, Skyfae.
Aphrodite for me has been far more difficult because I have a very trauma-heavy childhood, and when the idea of your lack of worth is so much a part of how you feel and how you think and how your brain is formed in those early years,
the formative years,
that somebody, if a energy or deity is saying you matter or beautiful, of pleasure, is acutely uncomfortable, because the part of our brain that processes pain is the same part of our brain that processes change.
That makes sense. Yeah, absolutely. And she's one of the hardest goddesses I've had to work with, and I work with Hekate, I work with Lilith. I work with some Kali, I work with Morrigan. So Erishkigal, and I'm just like, I love my dark goddesses, but when I work with Aphrodite, I'm like, oh, that's hard.
Because it takes you out of your comfort zone.
It does.
And that's what you need to do, is you need to challenge yourself and bring you out of where we're comfortable.
Yeah. So, well, thank you, Skyfae. This has been so fun. I hope you've enjoyed yourself. And it's been so. What are you drinking? Why don't you tell? What are you drinking there?
So this is a combination of Coke, kinky vodka, peach vodka, and rose syrup in a
Dionysus.
set. And if you were at Mysteries when they auctioned them off, I was invoked as Malo when I stole the auction.
I was there. I was there. Well, Skyfae, thank you so much. You have been amazing. I love you. I love talking to you. And let me just say, just from the very first day I met you to now, I've seen you grow and just blossom. And you are one badass motherfucking high priestess. I love it. You're amazing. So before we go, if anyone wants to email us, if they want to be a guest on our show, if you have any questions about what we do, then please email us at
crossroadscoven@gmail.com.
What was that again?
That's crossroadscoven@gmail.com.
Thank you, everybody. Remember, always be kind to one another. Walk with the goddess. And until next time, blessed be everybody. Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
We love you. We love